What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So the Big Ten Tournament kicks off in Indianapolis on Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 on Peacock. And it's the number 13 seed Northwestern Wildcats facing the number 12 seeded Minnesota Golden Gophers to kick this all off. Now, we're going to go through the whole Big Ten tournament bracket, give our predictions before this thing gets started, and go all the way through the championship. Now, we're going to be doing this for some of the other conferences here. We're going to have an ACC, SEC, and Big 12 video as well. Obviously, the ACC, peek behind the curtain, recording this on Tuesday night, so a couple of the ACC tournament games are already going, but thankfully when I looked at the bracket and picked the teams, the two teams that I picked had already won on Tuesday night before recording this. But anyway, this is a Big Ten one, so we're going to get into the bracket, but first, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more college basketball content on the channel throughout this week, throughout the next 3-4 weeks as we wind down through March Madness and everything, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. So starting out with the first game, these are probably going to go pretty quick, just going to go predictions. You know, if there's a certain matchup, then we'll maybe go a little bit deeper into, but mainly just kind of getting to the end point. So all these videos will probably be fairly short. But as we said, the first game, number 13 seeded Northwestern versus Minnesota. First game, and I don't know why, Northwestern, they've done a really good job. Chris Collins, Izzo, has been really complimentary of him. But I really love Minnesota as well. At times, Dawson Garcia, I think he's a handful to play against. Ben Johnson, I think, is a really good coach. I'm going to go with Minnesota in this one in the early slot on Wednesday afternoon. Next up, the 15-seeded Iowa Hawkeyes going up against Ohio State. Now, Iowa has had a tough year. Obviously, Michigan State, we did just play them 2 games ago, and we saw what they can do at times, but obviously a lot of struggles around Iowa this year with their best player in Owen Freeman being out. But Ohio State, you know, Bruce Thornton, other guys, I think they're pretty well coached as well, but I'm going to go with Ohio State in this one. And then the last game on Wednesday, the 14th-seeded USC Trojans against the number 11 seed Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Now, obviously, Rutgers been the story all year. They had their 2 lottery picks, but don't have a lot of help from other places. USC just kind of, you know, first year with Eric Musselman, just kind of trying to figure things out. But in this one, I'm actually going to go with USC. I'm going to go with the upset here, and USC advancing to Thursday. Now, on Thursday, the winner of this game will play Michigan State on Friday afternoon. Now, it is Indiana who beat Michigan State a couple weeks ago, obviously, when Tom Izzo was going to break Bob Knight's record. And then Oregon had played Michigan State just before that and had them down 14-17 in the first half, and Michigan State had to come back in the second half to win that one. So I think either way for Michigan State, this is going to be a tough matchup or intriguing storyline matchup either way. But in terms of just this game, I mean, Indiana's got more guys. They got Ballo, they got Renew, they got some guys, Galloway, that you can talk about. But Oregon, Shellstad, and Biddle, really, I think Oregon comes away with this one. Next up, Minnesota against Wisconsin. Obviously, Wisconsin had been one of the hottest teams in the league coming down the last couple weeks. We just saw Michigan State versus Wisconsin, so a possible rematch on Saturday if both teams can continue to win here. But in this particular matchup, Wisconsin, Minnesota, I just think Wisconsin's a little too much. Then we got Illinois versus Ohio State. And in this one, Illinois, if they're playing well, they can beat a lot of teams in this country. And in this spot, Illinois versus Ohio State, I got Illinois in this one. And then the last one on Thursday, we have the 6th seed Purdue against USC. Now, this one, I think Purdue is just too much. It's crazy that they are a 6th seed, but that's just life in the Big Ten, especially this year. I got Purdue moving on to Friday. Kicking off Friday, got the number 1 seeded Michigan State Spartans versus Oregon. And this one will obviously have a preview up on the channel on Friday before the game or late Thursday night. One way or the other, we will have a preview up on the channel for this one. But Michigan State versus Oregon, I think this is one that is very close again, because I think Oregon was able to do some things in that first half that Michigan State wasn't able to respond to at first, but they were able to turn around in the second half. But I expect this to be a fairly close game. And actually, in this matchup, as a fan perspective, I'd actually prefer Indiana, because they were kind of that one blemish, you know, the last, month or so, month and a half of the season besides that West Coast trip. So I would like that second chance to face Indiana. But I picked Oregon in this one. So Michigan State versus Oregon, I think Michigan State advances in this one. And then the next game, just after that, got the 4th-seeded UCLA Bruins against Wisconsin. Now, this will be a very tough battle. And personally, again, kind of looking ahead here, for personal reasons, I would love UCLA because they obviously beat Michigan State this year. Still would love that get back from the first 4 game back in 2021 that season. So would love UCLA, but I think I'm going with Wisconsin in this one. And then Illinois versus Maryland, and another really intriguing matchup that I think Illinois can win. Maryland, obviously second best team record-wise in the conference this year. And I think this one could go really either way, and I think this will be the most competitive game in this Friday slate if things go as I predict right here. But in this case, I'm going with Illinois to advance to Saturday. And then the last game, Purdue versus the third-seeded, that school down the road. I got Purdue. I just think that Braden Smith, obviously Conference Player of the Year, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Renn, Matt Painter, coming in after finishing 6th seed. I can't tell you the last time they haven't finished as a 1, 2, 3 seed, whatever. It's definitely felt like it's been a while. So they're coming in as 6th seed, having to start on Thursday. Haven't done that in a while. I got them winning their first 2 games, advancing to Saturday. First game on Saturday, Michigan State versus Wisconsin, a rematch. And I think this is a scary spot for Michigan State because Wisconsin, obviously a very good team. You can argue really the top 5, 6 teams in this league, had reasons to believe in the last 2-3 weeks that, really even the last 2 weeks, they all had a shot to win this league. Basically, UCLA was kind of just on the outside. They were kind of coming up, but, Purdue was still there in it, but then they had that loss in Ann Arbor, and then, obviously Maryland was in it, school on the road was in it, Wisconsin was definitely in it, until that game at the Breslin Center 2 Sundays ago. But in this one, this is a scary spot for Michigan State, but I just think that the things that they were able to do in the second half, the defense that they were able to put out against Wisconsin, I think that can travel again in this one. So I'm going with Michigan State to advance to Sunday. Now, at the bottom of the bracket in this one, Illinois versus Purdue would be a really entertaining game, as those matchups usually are. We just saw that. And I think Purdue gets their get back in this one, advances to the title game on Sunday. So then we got Michigan State versus Purdue. That was a really good game, obviously, about a month ago in the Breslin Center. Now we get this on neutral court for a championship. And I think for this Michigan State team, if they're getting to this championship game, I think they're pulling it out. I think it's going to be a really good, close game, but it's kind of the same thing. It's what Michigan State was able to do defensively with their guards against Braden, making him inefficient. Fletcher really making him a non-factor. The other guys, you had one guy coming off the bench hit, I think, 2 threes in that game. But besides that, TKR got his, and he'd probably get his again in this game. But it's just the waves that Michigan State can come at you with. And so I'll go with Michigan State in that one on Sunday for the championship. But listen here, this is where I sit with the Big Ten tournament in terms from a Michigan State perspective. Obviously, we're a Michigan State channel. I could very well see them losing Friday to an Indiana or an Oregon. I could see them losing Saturday to Wisconsin, UCLA. I could see them losing any of these games. I think Izzo said it in his press conference this week. There's a good, 5 to 7 teams that you can really say, they're going to win the championship next Sunday, right before the Selection Sunday selections, and no one would bat an eye. And I kind of agree here. I would not be shocked if you told me 6-seeded Purdue goes to win on Sunday, win the Big Ten Tournament Championship, or 7-seeded Illinois, or Wisconsin. It's going to be a very tough battle, and obviously the question about, Izzo got this question multiple times, how motivated is this team having gone just through a grueling 20-game, regular season Big Ten, race to win the one that you want, the regular season. Like, the Big Ten Tournament is important, but at the end of the day, you want that regular season title, 20-game sample size, the long, grueling year. And Michigan State just accomplished that and just had a, 17-point win against their rival on senior day, just on Sunday. And then now Friday, you're starting a new tournament. But, there is things, and Izzo talked about it too, like learning about one and done time. A lot of these guys on this roster have obviously been through tournament time, before. Obviously Jace, really the only one that hasn't, but as a freshman. But anyway, that's where I see it. I think this thing is wide open. And yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. Obviously, as we said, could go anyway, but we will have a preview for Michigan State's game on Friday at noon. Whoever they play, whether it's Indiana or Oregon, we'll have a preview up on the channel for that one as well. And if they continue winning, hope they do, we'll have recaps and previews for every single game for Michigan State here up on the channel. We'll have more Big Ten stuff as well on the channel as we move into the NCAA tournament starting next week as well. So anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.